All right, on Indie Style, next with me is Dr. David Nolte. And Dr. Nolte, if you're from Purdue University, we're here to talk about Doppler. Now, as a weather guy, when I saw this, I thought, oh yeah, Doppler radar would check storms and get the circulation and everything going. But you use Doppler for health reasons, right? Why don't you explain about that?
That's right. And so you never think of doing Doppler weather radar on living tissue. But what we're doing is basically looking at the weather of healthy and also infected tissues. And we do that not with radar, and that's the key thing. So we use infrared light, but the physical principles are identical to Doppler radar, because in Doppler radar, you have the radar, it reflects off of the rain droplets. And so you see the three-dimensional structure, you see how the rain droplets are moving. We use all the same physics. It's just that we take the wavelength, which for Doppler is in the range of meters, and we scale that down to the wavelength of light, which is in the range of about a micron, or that's about a millionth of a meter. And so we use the same principles. We look at the weather inside of cells, and we watch to see how cells are infected by bacteria in this case.
So you can like zoom right into how did this idea transform? Where did it come from?
Well, it's actually serendipity, like so much, in science. It's just the luck of the discovery. We were using infrared light to look at living tissue. And we kept getting this noise, and the noise was always there, and we wondered kind of what it was. And then we eventually realized that it was the fact that inside of cells, everything is moving, just like the rain droplets in a cloud. And cells are like machines, and so they're really like well-oiled machines. And when tissue and cells get sick, the machinery kind of changes. And so what we realized is that we could watch how all the motions change as tissue is infected by bacteria, and then that would tell us something about the physics and the biology of the bacteria.
So by using Doppler, again, this is going to save you a lot of time compared to doing it the old-fashioned way. Is that correct? And you can find out which cells are cancerous and which are benign, and you can treat it even sooner.
That's right. And so Doppler is very sensitive. And so in the context of, let's say, bacterial infections, often you have to incubate for about a day in order to test whether a patient maybe is going to respond to an antibiotic or not. But Doppler is so sensitive that we can make measurements within really just a matter of a couple of hours, and we can see whether an antibiotic is affecting the bacteria in the right way.
So you can use it for cancer cells and for other diseases too, right?
That's right. In fact, we actually started in cancer. And we've been working in cancer for a long time. And in that case, we look to see whether the selected chemotherapies will be effective. In that case, we actually work with patient biopsies. But the new work is that we realized that we could also look at bacterial infections. And then this brings up the opportunity to test antibiotics to try to prevent sepsis in patients.
We have about 30 seconds here. Where does it go from here?
Well, everyone's talking about COVID. And so since we're looking at bacterial infections of tissue, really one of our next steps would be viral infections.
Wow.
And I think with the viral infections too, I'm not sure directly how we would predict, drugs, better drugs for COVID. But it's part of an arsenal. And so we could start to study viral infections and study how drugs are affecting the viral infections. And that could contribute to the overall war against COVID.
All right. Dr. Nolte, we're out of time. We could go on all day talking about this here, but I appreciate the research that you do at Purdue. Keep going. We really do appreciate that. So thanks for joining us here in Indie Style, and stay safe.
Hey, thank you.